Live from Los Angeles, welcome back to Good Morning La La Land. We are here with the author of My Blood Divides and Unites. Jesmane, thank you so much for being with us today. Your message is so powerful. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey and what led you to write this book?
Sure. So I've been raised in South Africa during apartheid. As you might know, apartheid was a system of government where different racial groups were separated from each other. And there was less access and opportunity. And there were 4 racial categories: Black, White, Indian, and then a separate racial group for historically mixed race people. And I'm historically mixed race, raised in a poor neighborhood. And I wanted to tell that story on an international platform. Historically mixed race people have slave ancestry, European ancestry, African ancestry, and East Asian. So I am basically my own melting pot. And
so is it true that your one parent was a slave master and your mom was a slave? Or tell us a little bit about that, your situation.
So from the 1600s, you had European settlers come in to South Africa, and there was this racial mixing with the Khoisan, an indigenous tribe, and then there were slaves brought in from Madagascar, India, Malaysia, Indonesia, and other lands. And you had this racial mixing, and this was considered embarrassing and shameful. And it was not really discussed in our school history books. And I felt with that racial history mixing, a completely separate racial group was created for historically mixed race people. And there was this mystery: who am I? What is in my blood? Let me unpack and understand this. And I did a DNA test to get my ancestry. So now I have a spreadsheet from my DNA of exactly what I am. And I unpacked my identity. How do I reconcile? Because in that mixing, there's, as you said, there's a slave master and slave. There's the white and black. There's the newcomer and the indigenous native. And I do know, painfully so, that some of my ancestors oppressed some of my other ancestors. And I had to come to a place: how do I accept all of this that's in my blood? I decided to forgive some of my ancestors and to embrace the mosaic that is me. I can't reject any ancestor, because that'd be rejecting.
When we're doing spiritual work, we truly believe that when we heal ourselves, we heal our entire lineage.
Yes.
We do. So how's that for you? How do you feel? Of course, you just spoke about how it divides and unites you. So what has that experience been like for you?
To use the word healing, it has been very healing to reflect, to unpack, to reframe my personal story, to reframe it from oppression to a story of hope. And I want to offer this message of hope and reconciliation to everyone around the world, because right now our world is divided, not just in America, not just in South Africa where I'm from, but globally. And I feel that the process I've undertaken can be undertaken by individuals and societies.
For sure, right.
What do you think is one of the more important keys to reconciliation? Is there anything specific that that you've discovered in healing yourself that you've also found is very helpful in healing relationships with other people?
I talk about telling stories to each other about our life journeys, listening with compassion. You mentioned listening earlier. Coming from a place of love in a way that can bring healing, and then jointly coming together to tackle social issues. So it's not social issues is not one group's problem. It's a joint problem that we all own.
Wow. You have a master's from Harvard, is that correct?
Yes, I do.
I mean, this is phenomenal. I'm sure you're bringing this work into, merging your education into the book, how you're bringing it out to the world. I mean, obviously through the book, but how else?
Well, I am speaking to some universities on getting that message into schools, and speaking to different institutions and think tanks. I do think it's an important message, and I want people to have access to it.
Oh, very important. As spiritually, I believe that we're all past lives, that we really are going beyond even, it's important to know our DNA, but is it? You know what I mean? Like the reality is that we're one organism as the human race. And for me anyway, it's like, I believe that we're here to heal. We really need to know where we're from. But then beyond there, there's a whole other spectrum of that, of really going beyond all lineage and knowing that we're just here as oneness. And so thank you so much for all of your work. So important to know the division is the same. The division is what unites us as well. Yeah.
Beautifully said, Erin. Tell us, Jesmane, where can we find this book?
It's on Amazon. You can get it in paperback and on Kindle.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Check it out.
Absolutely. Stay tuned. We'll be back tomorrow. Good morning, La La Land.